this video, we will talk about the P ratio and when you should use it and when you should not use it, and one big problem with the PE ratio. But first, we need to fully understand what the P ratio is and how to calculate it. You calculate it simply how you pronounce it. For example, we take Apple stock here. It's now at $174 divided by 5.89, which gives us 29.5 in PE ratio, and that is correct according to trailing PE here, which is 29.63. You can also use it by calculating the forward PE ratio, and how you do that is you take the next year of 2024, which is a average estimate of 6.61. So then you take 174 divided by 6.61, which gives us a PE ratio of 26.3. And that is correct according to the forward PE we can see here. When you have the PE ratio, you can very simply calculate the PEG ratio. How you do that? You take the PE ratio, which is 29.63, 29.63, and then you divide it by the growth you expect it to grow in the next year. So for example, let's take 10%. So then we divide it by 10%, and then you have a PEG ratio of 2.963. This is where the power of PE ratio comes into play. When you try to find undervalued stocks, you might want to look for the P ratio. As we can see in this chart, we can see the PE ratio over the span from 2011 to until now. And here we have the stock price. And here in the middle, we have the trailing 12 months for net EPS. What you will see is that the PE ratio has gone from 10 to 30, that's a 3x, while the stock price have went from 12 to 176, and that's over a 2000x. So the P ratio follows with the stock price if the growth is maintained. What do I mean with all this? Well, if you're looking for a undervalued company, you might want to look after a P ratio that is currently lower than the average P ratio in the history. A perfect example of this is the Tesla stock, where the company was trading about 36 PE in the Q4 2022. That was their lowest for a very long time. The last time was early 2020. And this was one of the reasons why I bought the stock very heavily in this dip here. And if you bought right here, you would be up about 150% from the bottom. One of the reasons why Apple stock went on a huge bull run lately, that was because the stock were trading about 23, which is the lowest P ratio in a very long time. And that was in Q1 2023, bottomed at this low P ratio, and then it went on a huge bull run for 50%. One problem with the P ratio is that the S&P 500 has a average P ratio of 25. But if you are invested in a growth stock, you might have a P ratio of 70, and that might you think that it's too overvalued, but that is because the market is anticipating that the company is growing a lot. Because as I said, the problem with the P ratio is that it takes the EPS for the last 4 quarters and puts that in the denominator. If we take Nvidia, for example, which is considered a growth company, it is now trading at a P ratio of 230, but if we take now the price of the Nvidia and divide it by the next year's EPS, which is 11.5, then we end up with a P ratio of 37.6, which sounds way more reasonable. If you want to learn more about fundamental analysis, make sure to check out my next video in this course. See you in the next video. Bye.